Welcome back to the video series about the life of Shakyamuni Buddha. In the previous episode, we heard about the life of the Buddha and the great physician Jivaka Komarabaka. The Buddha often traveled and preached Dharma to monks at Vulture Mountain and caves. He waited for the opportunity to meet Jivaka, a famous physician, to take care of the health of the growing number of monks. The story of Jivaka begins when he was rescued by Prince Abhaya as an abandoned child. Jivaka grew up intelligent and decided to become a physician, studying at the famous Takasila Medical School. After 7 years, he became a talented physician, treating many patients, including King Bimbisara. Jivaka was famous for his healing talents, but also faced challenges, such as treating King Pajota, a cruel man. He skillfully used stratagems to protect himself while still treating the king's illness. Finally, Jivaka met the Buddha and expressed his respect and asked about the use of meat in meals. The Buddha explained that only meat that cannot be seen, heard, or suspected is allowed to be eaten. Jivaka realized the similarities between the medical profession and the Buddha's teachings and decided to take refuge, offering his mango garden to the Buddha and the monks. He continued to support the monks' health and recommend healthcare measures for them. The story demonstrates the connection between medicine and Dharma, as well as the compassion and responsibility of a physician. The Life of Shakyamuni Buddha, Volume 34. After the third retreat season, 1 season at Deer Park, 2 seasons at Bamboo Forest, most of the elders and arahant bhikkhus asked the Buddha to travel and practice in various places. First, the Venerable Mahakassapa and his disciples, wanting to demonstrate the Buddha's conduct, scattered throughout Rajagaha to set an example for them. Next is the group of Venerable Yasa and his disciples who want to spread the Dharma in the southwestern countries. Some venerable monks in the Payava group and their disciples wanted to return to preach in the northwestern countries. The venerable group Nandi Kassapa, Gaya Kassapa and their disciples divided to the southeastern countries to spread the Dharma. Venerable Asaji, Vapa, Bhadia, Old, Mahanam, Uruvela Kassapa, and a number of mature disciples stayed to take care of the work and precepts for the new monks. Some of the princes and monks of the Sakya clan stayed behind. Some followed the Venerable Kadudai across the north bank of the Ganga River to sow charm and salvation to the states and republics there. The two great disciples often followed the Buddha to receive teachings or receive instructions from him. Bhikkhu Ananda is very interested in listening to the Dharma. If he cannot be close to the Buddha, he will be close to the venerable monks, Sariput, Moggallana, or the Asaji group to listen to the Dharma lectures from the time he was in Deer Park, Kapasiya Forest, Uruvela Monastery. The novice Rahula was very attentive in listening, learning, and practicing from his teacher and others. So just less than half a month later, Bamboo Forest only had more than 1,000 monks left. However, just a few days later, Bamboo Forest's population was replenished. First, the Buddha welcomed the young man Sotiya and nearly 20 of his cowherd friends from Uruvela. The Buddha smiled, chatted friendlily, accepted, and then told Venerable Sariputta to give them novice ordination. Next was the monk Pukusa, a friend of the Buddha from the first ashram, who brought with him several hundred monks, former disciples of Master Alara, Master Udaka, to ask for guidance. Meeting the Buddha again, the Taoist Pukusa was very happy. After paying his respects to the Buddha whom he had admired so much, and at the same time the reputation of the peerless master had become a hot topic of discussion among the ascetics, Pukusa recounted the decline of both religions. What was the situation like after the two masters passed away? After a period of teachings on the basic points of the path to enlightenment, the Buddha demonstrated to the elders to perform the ceremony for them to become monks. During this time, the Buddha also had the intention of waiting for a person, an important protector of the Dharma, and also the cause for the Dharma to spread to distant countries. Bamboo Forest is a capital of the southeastern region of Jambudvipa. We need a larger capital in the northwest for the two places to support each other. The next day, the Buddha assigned the responsibility of Bamboo Forest to Venerable Moggallana and Venerable Asaji, paying special attention to Nanda and Rahula. Then along with Venerable Sariputta, attendant Upavana, and a few other bhikkhus came to stay. residing in the Cetavana forest cluster west of the city. The Buddha is here to save predestined people, and at the same time, intentionally waits for one person. And that character is Sudatta. He was a wealthy merchant, young, whose birth name was Sudatta, but because of his constant heart, constant production, and reputation for giving alms and helping the poor with unparalleled generosity, he was respected and loved by people and bestowed the title Anathapindika, which means feed the poor, subsidize the lonely. The capital city of Savatthi, the kingdom of Kosala, was his birthplace. As the president of a trade union specializing in trading gold, silver, and famous gems of the capital of the kingdom of Kosala, businessman Sudatta had the opportunity to travel here and there to make business contacts. He married the sister of a rich merchant in Rajagaha, so he often visited this economic and commercial city. The day before yesterday, around the last days of October in the year 185 TL, the rich man Sudatta came to Rajagaha and stopped by his brother-in-law's house. Normally, the wealthy Sudatta is welcomed very warmly by the whole family. But now no one greets him even though he has entered the inner door. The rich man Sudatta saw everyone busy arranging, decorating, laying, cleaning up here and there with brooms, with whitewash, with towels, with vases, flower chains, and garlands as if to prepare to receive a distinguished guest. It seemed like no one was paying attention to him. And the owner himself is busy with work in the back house, not taking that as anything, not paying attention to it. Elder Sudatta was just curious and surprised and asked, "Today, our whole family, is there a death anniversary or a celebration of something very important, right?" The brother-in-law smiled, secretly. "That's not it. Or is it to welcome a close friend of yours that I don't know yet? If it were him, then there would be no one more loving and sincere than my brother-in-law." Elder Sudatta frowned and speculated. "Or to welcome the king and important officials of the court. They are also rare guests, but not enough to make me forget my precious brother-in-law. So who else is there in this world? Yes, more than heaven and earth, my dear brother. He is the teacher of gods and humans, that is the Buddha and his Sangha disciples." Just hearing the word Buddha, Sudatta's heart suddenly trembled and became anxious. A feeling of transcendence gently blossomed in his heart. The wealthy man Sudatta stammered, "Buddha, Buddha, how wonderful, brother! Buddha, Buddha! Why does that echo seem to disturb the depths of my past life memories? Oh, how much I wish to see that Buddha. Then tomorrow I will see you." Where? Where is he now? The wealthy Sudatta's heart fluttered and he asked again and again, "Is it far from here, dear brother?" Just recently, in the Cetavana forest cluster past a cemetery west of the city, he is there with a handful of monks. So the rich man Sudatta began to get impatient. He wanted to go see the Buddha immediately, but unfortunately it was already dark. See you tomorrow, and I will have the opportunity to worship him." Sudatta thought to himself like that, was very happy, and then peacefully went to sleep. As soon as he fell asleep, wealthy man Sudatta woke up with a start, hoping for the morning to come soon. And so he wondered, lying down and waking up many times. At the beginning of the third watch, rich man Sudatta could no longer wait. In the dark, he cleaned himself, put on an undershirt, an outer coat, a scarf, and tied his head neatly. Then, without waiting for his brother to show him the way, he opened the door quietly. The summer moon shines dimly, and the fog is thick. Elder Sudatta headed west. The weather was cloudy, and wealthy Sudatta was so nervous that he tripped and fell, but even so, he managed to grope his way to the cemetery. The shadow of a tree flickers here, the phosphorescent light from human bones sparkles and flickers there. The desolation and silence of the cemetery makes even the bravest person's hair stand on end. By thinking of his supreme Buddha, the rich man Sudatta calmly walked away, his faith becoming stronger and purer within him. That pure psychological state caused him to experience piti. His whole body glowed, brighter than phosphorus. Both surprised and scared, the wealthy man Sudatta stopped to observe. The light in the whole body is gone again. Elder Sudatta was bewildered, not knowing what was going on, not understanding the reason. He stood there for a long time, lost in thought. Suddenly, at that moment, in the gentle breeze, from nowhere, a sweet, gentle, warm word fell in his ear, like a mother's lullaby. like a father's encouragement to his son. My only, hey Sudatta, don't be afraid, there's nothing to be afraid of. Follow your heart and step forward. Follow the deep call from the unconscious and step forward. Peace and happiness are steps forward, not stopping or looking back. Just calmly walk forward. Elder Sudatta looked around and saw no one, so perhaps it was an angel. Feeling the goodwill of the encouragement, the rich man Sudatta boldly walked away. He thought of his supreme Buddha again with pure faith. The light in his body arose again. He was scared again. The light disappeared again. In the middle of nowhere, the gentle voice continued. "O Sudatta, come take my hand. Let's step forth. Let's make our stand. Though horses gallop, strong and fleet, and statues gleam, so grand, so sweet, with chariots skilled, in colors bright, and lovely maidens, a dazzling sight, with gold and pearls that catch the eye, these worldly treasures, oh how they vie. Yet none can match, in joy or worth, the bliss found in a single step's birth. For peace and happiness they await, just beyond the threshold of fate. So onward, dear Sudatta, be bold, embrace the journey, let your heart unfold, for in the path that lies ahead, true joy and love, like rivers, spread." That voice belonged to the heavenly master Saka. After clearly seeing the millionaire's great affinity for the Buddha and the Dharma, the heavenly Lord sought to encourage and promote him. It was not until the third time that the rich man Sudatta reached the Sitavana forest cluster. At that time, it was just dawn. The Buddha was walking meditation outside and was waiting for him. Seeing the rich man Sudatta appear at the edge of the forest, the Buddha softly called out, "Come closer, Sudatta!" The call sounds so familiar. Suddenly, the rich man Sudatta knew for sure that it was him, his supreme Buddha, and no one else. Elder Sudatta quickly walked back and knelt down. "Here I am, dear Lord Buddha," he stammered. He is so emotional. He was so happy. Oh, Buddha is this person, a simple, ordinary personality that seems to shine everywhere. Oh, how free and transcendent his gentle smile is. His appearance is as perfect as the sun and moon, shining brightly. His shadow is both gentle, majestic, and calm, as if it covers and captures the surrounding space. The rich man Sudatta admired it forever, not knowing what to say. After a long time, he opened his mouth. "Is Buddha happy?" The rich man Sudatta saw how silly, out of place, and ungainly his question was. But the Buddha kindly replied, "Hey Sudatta, surely an arhat is always happy, because within them all the burning fires have been extinguished. All the desires that cling to and indulge in before are no longer left. All evil seeds have been destroyed. All bonds and chains have been removed. All suffering and afflictions have been ended. Therefore, the mind of an arhat is always clean, calm, and cool. That person's mind like that has achieved a kingdom of peace, peace and happiness." After hearing this, at that moment, the rich man Sudatta attained stream entry, entering the holy stream. The rich man deeply felt that he was still the same person, but his seeing, knowing, intellect, and heart were now different. There is something solid and stable inside. The quiet, pure, and holy faith within him seemed to have just bloomed into a magnificent flower. Elder Sudatta quietly knelt down and bowed to the Buddha once more with countless gratitude and respect. The next day, the Buddha received his son-in-law at the home of his wealthy brother-in-law Sudatta, preached the Dharma, encouraged practice, put the whole family under precepts, and then returned to Bamboo Forest. Elder Sudatta, at this time, did not want to leave the Buddha and the monks' assembly, so he listened to the Dharma, focused on the Dharma, and he found himself so peaceful and happy. The life of a Buddhist monk with contentment and few desires gave him a very good impression of this teaching. This congregation was led by the Venerable Master. Looking at Bamboo Forest Vihara with its lecture hall, dining hall, meeting house, guest house, warehouse, and thousands of cups scattered here and there, it is said that during the retreat season, monks from all over gathered together. There were probably more than 3,000 people with their 3 robes and alms bowls gently and gracefully coming in and out. His heart was filled with emotion. The rich man suddenly thought of his hometown and wished that in his capital city there was also a center for learning, bigger and more magnificent than Bamboo Forest. It would be truly a blessing for the country. The other day, the rich man Sudatta came to the Buddha, inviting him and the Sangha to return to Savatthi to spread the Dharma, hoping that with this peaceful, pure, and transcendent teaching, he can conquer the pagans and save many people. Predestined person. He will be responsible for finding, creating, and making offerings to the land issue and establishing the scale of the monastery. The Buddha saw that this was a good fate, exactly as he knew, so he silently accepted the invitation. Then he suggested to the rich man Sudatta that the monastic life is often suitable for quiet, secluded places, neither near nor far from the village. With great joy, the wealthy man Sudatta knelt down to pay respects to the Buddha, then hesitated for a moment and said passionately, "World-honored one, Savatthi is the capital of the Kosala kingdom, a prosperous and wealthy city in the northwest, densely populated, with a fairly high standard of living. However, culturally, compared to Rajagaha, it is just a remote border area. The people are naturally gentle but still wild, barbaric, gullible, and fanatical. This is also a fertile land, an ideal capital for leftist gangs to establish a base to rampage. They arrogantly make money, mesmerizing ignorant people with miracles, magic, spells, wormwood, and hundreds of different types of offerings. Gods and lewd, evil idols sit everywhere in temples, riverbanks, markets, roads, parks, with steaming incense, fruits, and fresh animal heads. Blood. We practice squatting, holding our heads with our hands and dancing with the snake dance. We practice the practice of sweeping the ground, lying down on the ground, bowing and crawling. They have beards and hair like thick grass, walk naked here and there, and even hang out in temples. They practice lying on the ground and eat on the ground. They sit in mud puddles and sewers. They hang upside down on trees and eat each seed and each fruit they pick up every day. As for the lay Brahmins, religious leaders, intellectuals, or priests, they live in mansions and private estates. The gate is as tall as the emirs. They have the exclusive right to contact and dialogue with the gods, so they have a monopoly on funerals, weddings, sacrifices, small weddings, great weddings, lost cities, house directions, door directions, good and bad hours, at exorbitant prices. Strangle, and squeeze the throats of the poor and hungry people. They preach to believers about the path of asceticism, renunciation, contemplation, and meditation to merge with Brahman above, and they live in luxury down here to enjoy all kinds of luxuries and pleasures. Venerable Buddha, perhaps due to the good fate of countless lifetimes, even though one side moves and the other pulls, the disciples still do not follow them, do not follow any religion. Thanks to that, the disciples were happy to meet the world-honored one and the holy Sangha, to hear the purest, healthiest, and most beautiful dharma in the world. Therefore, the capital Savatthi, the disciples' hometown, must have the presence of the supreme dharma of the world-honored one. The trash and dust in everyone's eyes need to be wiped clean. Fanaticism and stupidity need the light of wisdom to shine. The foul, dirty, and filthy things in spiritual and religious activities need to be purified and purified. Venerable Buddha. Generalizing like that, we know that coming to Savatthi will encounter countless difficulties and complications. Surely there will be many opposing and destructive elements from many sides. Except for the world-honored one or the great elders who have a lot of wisdom and magical powers, it is difficult for anyone to take on this difficult responsibility, from laying the foundation stone as well as laying the first precept stone, for Dharma. The Buddha and a number of elders listened attentively, very attentively to the correct perceptions of the rich man Sudatta, and then he said to him, "Yes! Tathagata also knows that it will be very difficult. Any conversion or improvement, despite its benefits, is still subject to sabotage and opposition from many sides. Of course, worldly dharma is like that. People do not easily change a habit, especially habits that have turned into rituals and practices that are rooted and ingrained in tradition from generation to generation." Venerable Sariputta suddenly knelt down and said, "However, the teachings of enlightenment and liberation need to be promoted, need to grow strong, need to enter the hearts of people and society. The Dharma of wisdom and compassion must be the light, the guiding light for enslaved, weak, and foolish minds. The Master's disciples must know how to raise high the Munja flag, the flag of the wise. We must know how to be non-action and desire-free, open our arms to welcome wandering sentient beings back. We must know how to be calm like the earth, be patient like the earth, to teach and transform the people according to fate. So, Sariputta, Please lean your shoulders and accept that responsibility. All the difficulties in the beginning, Tathagata entrusts to you." Venerable Sariputta bowed his head in gratitude. Elder Sudatta would like to continue. With a construction scale like this bamboo forest, does the world-honored one find it favorable or unfavorable for the current activities of the Sangha and future development? Knowing what the millionaire meant, he was not very satisfied with the construction projects in bamboo forest. Although King Senia Bimbisara personally directed and did not hesitate to spend public funds and royal contributions, but he also did not expect that the church would grow so quickly that during large sermons with thousands of people, the lecture hall would become cramped. With a temporary residence of a few thousand monks, many problems have arisen here and there from accommodation, sanitation, storage as well as waste that must be carefully considered and far more extensive. Thinking so, Buddha smiled and said, "You are a person with brains and visions, Sudatta." Tathagata understood very clearly what was behind his question. "The day you set out to return to Savatthi, the monk Sariputta will go with you." Tathagata's outstanding chief disciple has the ability to speak on behalf of Tathagata with the sect leaders, sect masters, and pagans there, and also have the eloquence and virtue to conquer them. Sariputta is not only knowledgeable in architecture, but is also an accomplished geographer and astronomer. He can advise the wealthy man in many areas, so you don't have to worry about anything. Having received the words that opened his heart, the rich man Sudatta happily set out, and next to him, sheltering in the shadow of the great tree of the Dharma, is the venerable Sariputta. On the day of his departure, knowing that the rich man Sudatta was anxious to return to Savatthi to search for land, the venerable Sariputta looked at him sympathetically and said, "The bhikkhu only walks, does not ride any kind of vehicle, so you can depart in a good horse-drawn carriage. Don't pay attention to me. However, wherever you stop or want to meet me to learn about the Dharma, I will be right next to you." And it is true. How wonderful. Along the way, whenever he wondered about something, Venerable Sariputta seemed to fall from the sky, like from a white cloud, and transformed into a human. And he learned so many things, more than he thought about the specific differences in the Buddha's teachings compared to traditional religions and ancient beliefs of ethnic groups in the human world. In addition, the Venerable Sariputta also enthusiastically and thoroughly explained the worship symbols of Brahmanism, the holy baptism ceremonies, bathing in the Ganga River, praying to the gods. What is the content of the thought? Thinking that you can defeat it, where is the form of blindness and dominion? Oh, this great disciple is truly the second Buddha. There is nothing that the Venerable does not see or know. It is true that the property of the millionaire president of the famous gold, silver, and gemstone trade union, the capital city of Savatthi, magnificent mansion, east and west floors, countless horizontal and vertical buildings, hundreds of servants going back and forth. As soon as he arrived home, the rich man Sudatta quickly summoned everyone in the hall, invited the Venerable Sariputta to sit in the highest and most luxurious seat, and asked everyone to come and pay respects to him. The Venerable preached a short Dharma session to sow affinity with this virtuous family. Punalakkhana, the rich man's wife, was quite young, dignified, and gentle, very happy to hear the Dharma. The three daughters, Mahasubhada, Kula Subhada, and Sumana, all listened attentively. As for the boy, named Kala, he was absent-minded, seemingly disobedient, and playful. Venerable Sudatta invited the Venerable to live in a private room, but he smiled and shook his head, telling him to mind his own business and let the birds of the sky be free and leisurely here and there. So the Venerable Sariputta took his bowl and left. He wanted to grasp the situation of religion, belief, as well as the human and social activities of this rich capital. Dear ladies and gentlemen, you have just listened to the video about the life of Buddha Shakyamuni, adapted from the work A Life, a Sun and Moon by Master Geoy Duck. This video series will be broadcast at 7 p.m. every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on the YouTube channel Buddhist Story. We sincerely thank you for watching. To not miss the next episodes, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. If you find the content useful, please share this video with your relatives and friends. All your comments are very valuable to us. Please leave comments below the video so we can discuss and share together. Thank you, and see you again in the next episodes of the video series, The Life of Buddha Shakyamuni.